CC.
Really?
And his CC is not his real name, but when he was inducted into the Guild of Stuntmen, his boss, the guy that trained him and all that kind of stuff, put his name down there, and they put his name down as Cow's Cunt Smith.
I know CC. I know, yeah.
And
he's
so
got
he kept
what a
it
nice
as CC.
man. Yeah.
Cow's cunt. I mean, could you be? Sorry, could you be?
Quite, I love it.
His
Anyway.
dad's a stuntman as well, isn't he?
CC.
Yeah.
I think he is. Yeah.
I think he is. Yeah, he's still going. I think. Right.
Okay.
Cows plants aside. Hopefully they won't understand that in Sweden. Thanks for doing this, James. Let's just discuss a bit of the story, because it seems like filmmakers are increasingly trying to make films that confuse the hell out of me. This one being one of them. But just to explain the story a little bit in your own words.
So, the world is falling apart in the future, and the entire mutant race is all but annihilated. The entire human race has paid a humongous price as well for this war, of this genocidal war. And Eric and Charles are there at the end, being hunted day by day, and they decide that the only way to avert this disaster and this travesty is to change their relationship in the past, which would help avert what happens in the future. So they figure out that Kitty Pryde, and who's still alive, fortunately, and Wolverine, who's still alive because he is the hardest dude on the planet, played by the hardest actor on the planet, Hugh Jackman, are key to getting in touch with us in the past and sort of connecting with us and trying to fix us. And I'm a mess at this point. I'm an absolute state, because after the events of the last film, where I was left dying on a beach, paralysed from the legs, the waist down, and abandoned by my sister and my best friend and emotionally scarred for the rest of my life, I then now start this movie as a junkie. So, and a bit of a reprobate, and somebody who just doesn't care and doesn't want to help anybody, let alone his future self. He's like, what? So Wolverine has to adopt the position that Charles usually has. He has to be the mentor and the kind of life coach, and sort of put his hand on my shoulder and say, you know, kind of, wise up, dude, it's going to be all right. And I'm the one doing what Wolverine usually does, and I'm going like, well, I don't know who I am, but without the claws. I've just got like really pointy fingers, and I could give you a headache like that, dude. So yeah, it's a really kind of interesting dynamic, and then from there we go and we basically, you know, make a better summer blockbuster than anybody else.
Oh, and that's the point.
That's the point of the story.
That's the point. I think my kids have got that headache power, actually.
Great.
All three of them have adopted that. Now, you've worked, obviously, Brian's back this time, and you've worked with Brian, you've worked with Matthew Vaughn, you know, doing the X-Men job. How do their styles differ, and what does it mean to have Brian back at the helm? They're
both quite different people, and yet directorially they're quite similar in a lot of ways. They're both not adverse to making quite bold and strange decisions at times, and to make big changes even at the last minute, which I really respect, because you want a director to be brave and bold and to charge, you know what I mean? And they both do that. The differences are in their personalities, I think, really more than it is to do with anything professional. But professionally, I found them remarkably similar, which was really cool, actually. And because you do go like, oh, we got on well with Matthew, and it worked out really good. And you go, okay, but then you do realise that you're working with Brian, who's the guy that created the whole thing. So you know you're in a safe pair of hands. And then I was just shocked at how similar they were.
Right, maybe it's a director thing.
It's not a director thing, because I've worked with, you know, I've rarely worked with directors that are similar. But yeah, there seems to be something about those two, which, you know, and Matthew was meant to do one of the other X-Men movies. He was meant to do X-Men 3: The Last Stand, I think, as well. So there's something maybe about that personality that is drawn to mutants.
And what was it like? Because obviously you meet Patrick Stewart, you know, for the first time in this film, you know, on screen. What was that like to finally share a scene with
It was weird, because at first I was like, wait a minute, this is our thing. What do you mean the old cast are coming back? No chance. We own this now. So I felt a bit put out that we were getting supplanted by the previous cast. But then I read the script and I was really pleased. And also I've been a fan of his for a long time, since I was a teenager, watching him in Dune and in Next Gen and all that. So it was good. It was quite intense, and it was my first day. It was his last day. There was no small scene really. It was just like kick the door in and come in acting. Do you know what I mean? And that was quite good. And then getting to do sort of literally to his face. I also thought we don't look that similar. We had a profile shot going on, so I thought we've both got quite distinctive profiles in our noses. So I thought I'm going to get really close to you and just like in silhouette, that'll look really good. With these two conks kind of like sort of battling, dueling noses. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, that's what they call in the next instalment, isn't it? Professor X dueling noses. And look, just finally, an existential question from Sweden is: if you could step into a time machine and go back 30 years, what would you tell your future self?
My past self?
Your past self. Have I just confused myself?
I've confused myself here.
And meet yourself 30... Oh no, if you could go into a time machine and meet yourself 30 years from now.
30 years from now?
Yeah.
That's nothing. He'd know everything.
What would you like to ask yourself? Oh my God, have I confused...
Oh, what would I like to ask myself?
Yeah.
Not tell myself. What?
Yeah,
oh, right,
what would you
okay.
like to ask
What year are Scotland going to get into the World Cup? And if he said not yet, I don't know. I just need to move to Germany or something like that so that I could support a proper team. I'm just hoping we get into a World Cup at some point in the next 100 years.
I like it. The question's so prosaic and football based. Just finally, what can you tell us about X-Men Apocalypse? You know, and what's Xavier's story in that? If you know anything about it.
And Apocalypse,
yeah.
I've got absolutely no idea. I've still not spoken to anybody about Apocalypse. But then it was the same with Days of Future Past as well. When you start working on it, they're really inclusive, and they're like Simon's writing with you and Brian's working with you and showing you all his ideas and looking for input and all that. But until you really get on it and you're there, it's like you might get a phone call in about 6 months going like, yeah, we were thinking about, you know, you'll be in it and stuff. Okay, that cool with you? Bye. And so you get nearer the time we'll get up to date.
Okay.
Up to speed.
Well, we'll catch up then.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much,
Charles.
James. Appreciate it. Thank you.